Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 o'clock, and before we start out, we have a presentation to make, and we're not on online, which is unfortunate, but there's been a lot of computer problems today. Interior Health has been down all day, and the hospital's been having trouble too, so we're lucky we didn't get here.
I'm online.
So this is a presentation to Isiah McDonald, and the City of Grand Forks is proud that a young member of our community has been chosen to participate in the Latin American Baseball Classic in San Diego Domingo. Santo Domingo.
It's one of the Domingos.
The Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Shows you I know my geography. Your hard work and commitment to baseball has obviously paid off, and a note with your participation on the Kamloops River Dogs, and by being one of the 40 players selected to play at the 18U LABC Team Canada. 18U, what does that stand for?
18 under.
18 and under? Okay. As well, we were impressed with Team Canada's LABC's commitment to baseball, which is exemplified with the collection of over 1,000 pounds of donated new and used baseball equipment that will be distributed to less fortunate Dominican youth organizations who are in much need of the equipment. And Grand Forks City Council is honored to take this moment to congratulate you on your success and achievements thus far, and wish you the best in your aspirations to pursue baseball. And we have his mom here. Come on up.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the city, we're really proud to present Isiah with this plaque. Thank you for coming and taking.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, pictures here.
I was out at Dog River Dogs.
How's that?
Easily confused.
Well, that's what they were going to name their team on that.
We haven't turned out a baseball player in years now. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated. He wishes he could be here, but he's playing baseball.
Is he?
Yes. Thank you.
Did I ever tell you about my baseball history? Probably.
Nice one.
Yeah, we could give her that, maybe they're sitting too long.
If you want to send it to them, or do
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll call this regular meeting of Grand Forks City Council to order. And the first item of business is that we have some changes to the agenda. I have a late item from the Fall Fair around the liquor license. I have a late item from Councillor Wires regarding a motion to send congratulations to Jacqueline Salter. So we'll deal with that in line. And the final one, which is a clarification of a reference to send the decision on the mural to the regular meeting. So we have an update on some projected cost on that project. So a motion to accept the agenda as modified. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Wirischagin, all those in favor. We have minutes from June the 22nd. Motion to adopt the minutes. Councillor Krog, Councillor Kendel, all those in favor. And minutes of the special meeting on June 23rd. Councillor Kendel, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. And the regular minutes from June 23rd and Councillor Kendel's June 23rd council report. Councillor Krog, Councillor Wirischagin, all those in favor. Bringing us down to the verbal reports from council, and Councillor O'Doherty is waving there. He's going to start.
Your Worship, the baseball tournament at GFI is done.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of problems with the weather, but the people enjoyed wherever we had on the park there. and we still don't know what's going to happen next year. We'll find out in the future. And I'm involved with music in the park, and in the last 3 weeks, and the attendance has been very good.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was in Gyro still.
Yeah, in Bylaw Park, yes. And I've been meeting some seniors in the last 2 or 3 weeks for barbecues, and everybody, the seniors seems to be happy.
You're campaigning, Councillor.
I'm campaigning, yeah, that's right, yeah. I'm on the campaigning.
On the trail.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Wirischagin.
No, I have no report for this week.
Rolling around, Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the 21st, as acting mayor, I had the honor on a couple of occasions here. The first was on the 24th for the GFI Wine and Cheese. So we had an opportunity to gather with the sponsors and volunteers of the GFI and cut some cake and all that good stuff. It was really well received. And then on the 26th in the morning, I had a chance to meet with Frank Ritzy, who is with WildSafe BC, and of course our local coordinator, Laurie Grant. So we talked about, and it would happen to be the Deer Committee as well. So we talked about some of the initiatives that Frank saw as coming down the pike, and interestingly, one of them was the monitoring. So when I said, "Wow, we're way ahead of the game here, buddy," because we just got council to agree to $10,000 there for monitoring, he said, "You guys are so bang on here that you're meeting with ministry and all that kind of stuff coming up in September. I think we've got it in the bag as far as sharing costs and getting the participation of the Ministry of Environment in other ways as well." So that was very promising. Myself, along with yourself and other councillors, participated in the candidate parade. That was very nice. Oh no, that's way back now, isn't it? Yeah, sorry. On the 2nd, I met with, I must have slipped that in the wrong month. Anyway, Nick Burdock, he's with the Nature Trust. Barry Brando and Midge and his son Barry and a few of us went up to the Gilpin Grasslands, and we had a walk around there. And the Nature Conservancy owns a lot of acreage up there. Yeah. And they have found it. They have managed to find some money that they're going to put towards some fencing. So there was the Lost Lagoon or Lost Lake.
Lost Lake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Barry and company had gone up there and actually done some refencing, so it moved the fencing back so that it wasn't just in the water where the cattle could get to it. So they did a lot of work in moving that fence back, and they've identified a couple of other areas that will benefit from the money that the Nature Trust has been able to find. 50-cent dollar, that kind of stuff, to put up some fencing in that area. And then on the 8th, I'm on the Vital Signs Steering Committee. So we had a meeting, and we're moving ahead with all the information that's being collected in order to prepare the report card on how Grand Forks and Boundary area is doing. And then with yourself and other members of council, I was at the Rotary Saw turning for the water park. Yeah, so that's my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Krog.
Yeah, I think Councillor Smith covered a lot of it. On the 26th, or 25th, 26th, that was the time of the Samboree. That was pretty impressive. One of the things I would like to do after the reports is to make a motion to send a letter of thank you for the effort that Mr. Pinard put into organizing
You
it.
can put that in right now if you want.
Oh, okay.
Seconded, Councillor Smith.
And I'll second that, yeah.
Okay.
Discussion. All did an excellent job.
Yeah,
And
they did.
really, the rumor was that he didn't have a lot of volunteers,
No.
right? That he really
Yeah.
did a lot of that organizing on his own. So a thank you letter would be very much in order. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
I also attended, there was a paintball tournament outside of Greenwood called Operation Overlord. It's probably, like, sometimes they won't run it, but it's been going for a couple of years. 150 usual participants that come from all over Washington State, Lower Mainland. And these guys are hardcore. They go full tactical and run to the bush, shooting each other. I was like, I'm not getting shot, thank you. Yeah. And that was a pretty neat thing to see.
How many participants were there?
I think this year it was 150.
Wow.
Right? The other 2 years ago, I think it was almost like 200 and something.
Yeah.
So every year, and they're coming up again next summer too. And then did the sod turning, and I think Gary did everything. So that's probably about it.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Kendel.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I think between the other councillors, they covered many of the events that the bulk of us attended. However, I did attend the monthly meeting of the Boundary Museum and Interpretive Center. They've completed the new wagon that they've been working on, the Woodworkers Guild. That was on display on July 1st, and it was very positively received. Their new building has been approved by the engineer, a new display building, and they're in the process of sheeting the inside and getting that ready to go, and hopefully we'll have the displays in there in short order. The Flour Mill Welcome Center is now open, and they're working together with some staff from the museum to keep that open as much as they can. It's a positive tourist attraction and great spot for people to stop in when they come to the city. The museum, via me, would like to thank the city for and the Woodworkers Guild for the kiosk that was built there, and they're looking forward to getting that. I don't know if it's been installed yet or will be in short order. They were just picking a spot for it. They've been asked to put the new wagon they've just finished on display at Park in the Park behind one of the half-ton trucks there, just as to have a visual impact at the Park in the Park show. So that's going to be happening in August. I don't know if anyone here is aware, but on July 17th, on Thursday, Shaw Cable was actually at the Boundary Museum filming a piece for Shaw Cable. They were baking bread that day. There was quite a number of Doukhobor women there in traditional dress. My grandson happened to be his birthday that day. He ended up baking bread, had happy birthday sung to him in Russian up there, and was really excited, so it was a great day for him. I missed the monthly meeting at the Boundary Chamber of Commerce, but as everyone here heard this morning, James was here and did an update on all of the things they've been working on. That group has been, and James has been working extremely hard at a lot of positive efforts in and around the city with the Downtown Business Association and others. And I think we need to give them a big hand for all the work that him and the board there are doing. And as Councillor Krog said, yourself and I and several other councillors attended the sod turning for the spray park at City Park, and I'm hoping that that project gets the community behind it and donations, and we get that thing going as soon as possible. And that ends my report. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Wirischagin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to Councillor Kendel there. I recall you mentioning before that, and unless it's passed, that the Rotary is doing some sort of fundraiser at the lake, a dinner of some sort?
Yes, there's a couple of different fundraisers, but one is $100 a plate lobster dinner.
Oh, yeah, the Rotary.
That the Rotary is sponsoring is to raise funds for the spray park, and that'll be at Christina Lake, I believe, in September.
Yeah.
And if you have a business or anything like that, they are offering they believe it's a $50 per plate tax receipt, so you can deduct some of it through your business. So I think they've got a limited seating of 200.
200, yeah.
There was
But thanks for bringing that up.
70 seats already sold, so get in early and get your tickets and enjoy a good time.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Yeah, most of the items have been covered. I've got a couple of comments. The sod turning, the Rotary is an amazing club. I mean, when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. I think what we need to do is be careful that we really appreciate the kind of effort that goes into making a vision and then making that vision happen. It may take a little longer than they planned, but they've got a time frame that's pretty aggressive there, so I hope the city can stay behind the project. Bill Shovelday was one of the cooks there, previous city councillor, was one of the cooks up there that has been teaching other people how to use the big oven, and he's quite a celebrity. The other thing about the museum, two items. One is that the Founders Day in Greenwood happened the other day, and I'd really like to see it, because we are sort of a community now that's reaching out and telling other people this is the level of activity in our town. We'd like to, you know, be there and be part of your celebration. So that Founders Day would be one to maybe aim at next year for some of the museum materials or whatever, something
Even
that
a
we could
parade float.
Yeah, and ask them to reciprocate back into our parade. Let's get this parade thing going. The other item that we haven't dealt with, but I know that the wheels are in motion between Sasha, yourself, Doug, talking to the museum about the Gyro Park displays and getting on with some planning on that. There's a little panic there from the museum at this point, but I'm being reassured that what we're asking them is just to sit down with us and plan the future of that particular resource. So that will be going ahead fairly quickly here. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to Doug about this either. All right, that's my report, and the motion to accept council report. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. Regional district report. I'm going to just comment on the health report that was done by the administrator of Castlegar on behalf of the hospital district. There's a couple of interesting items in that I think are worth bringing up at this point. One is the fact that the Interior Health is planning a $1.5 million planning review of services within this region of BC, so Interior Health region. It's a substantial investment in planning. This group, and I don't know how much you know about them, it's a really difficult group to do very much with, because, well, Neil, you've been through it. They're spread from one side of the Kootenays to the other, and they have very diverse interests in terms of where they think healthcare should be going. So a flip chart planning process with that group, to me, is not attractive. And I will be trying to hold them back from spending a whole lot of money themselves, spinning their wheels, when really what they need is professional guidance in how that planning process goes. This is not something that a diverse, wildly diverse group like that can sit down and put to paper with a bunch of flip charts. So if you hear I'm against the planning by that group, it's not because we do need planning, but I just don't think that that's the particular approach they should be taking to healthcare. Neil, you got
just a note on that. There's city council members and mayors and regional district members, and a lot of them it's what's best for their community, and so you run into those roadblocks sometimes, and it's a huge body, and it's quite frustrating, and even when they group together, they're fighting amongst their own groups and stuff. It's probably
set
not
up
the
for a
most
particular
productive.
purpose, to share capital costs between people in the region at a 60-40 rate. So we pay 40%, the government pays 60%. However, it doesn't deal with service levels, it doesn't deal with various other kinds of aspects of the service, only the amount of money we want to transfer to taxes for the people in the region. So it's kind of a obsolete organization in a way. It doesn't really achieve anything more than being a bank for Interior Health to draw money out of, but a really cumbersome process. So just look out for that in the future. And again, one of the things I took from you previously was that you didn't see putting a whole lot of money aside in taxation for the region pending a plan. So it looks like now there will still be some push, which I will oppose, to start taxing more for this plan in the future until I can see that we're faced with a plan that actually we can justify charging our taxpayers, because this rolls through our taxation base here, and although it doesn't always show so clearly to the public, that healthcare funding dollar starts to add up. And that is my report. I have one other item here. Mr. Allen and I have been talking about the our commitments to meetings at UBCM, and so I wonder if I could ask Mr. Allen to go over that list.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as part of the annual Union British Columbia Municipalities meetings, or convention, we have the opportunity to arrange meetings with the ministers to deal with issues that are going on in our community that are, basically high-level issues for our community. Last year, we met with the community rural sport and development regarding asset management and where we are and what our commitment was from our community on that. In respect to that, we met with Minister Oakes. We also met with Minister Thompson from the Ministry of Forest regarding the deer issue. And we also met
Environment, sorry.
Ministry of Environment, yes. And then we also met with Minister Bennett regarding the, we met with Minister about, we met with the highway corridors people, and we met with Mr. Bennett as well. We met when we kind of sidetracked onto two topics, but we met with Mr. Bennett on another topic. We talked to him about, I think we talked about the Granby Pacific Abrasives mine. We talked to him a little bit about that.
Right.
So we talked about those things, and what we want to propose this year was a meeting with Christy Clark regarding the mental health issue and the losses to public and private assets and the considerable effects in our community, and what the city's done with the multi-agency project, so the MAP project. I know that's something that the mayor has been quite, basically strongly talking about, and I think that one of the things that we need to address here is, when is the province going to start bringing some money to the table for us to address these issues? In our community, the losses to our to City Hall are going to have a financial impact on our City Hall and the taxpayers and the insurance costs for the replacement. We're going to be dealing with that, and the economic impacts for our community related to the loss of these private assets that were lost due to the fires that were created with the hotel and whatnot over the last several years. The provincial downloading that's happened in that respect, that would be a great topic for us to talk to Christy Clark about, and to also talk to her about stimulus funding based on the Northern Gateway. What are they doing with all the other revenues? Are any going to be coming through our way? We could actually meet with Minister Thompson again to talk about community forests and the deer issue. Another option is for us to meet with the Minister of Agriculture regarding prospective partnerships in our area with our regional district and potential agricultural issues that may arise in the future that we've been basically floating around. And the other thing is to meet with the Ministry of Community Sport and Rural Development with an asset management plan update and get an update from the Minister regarding potential funding coming down the line. So again, last year she had made a suggestion that there was going to be funding announced in April. She was, I guess, somewhat wrong in that respect, but we'd like to ask her about that because we moved to a shelf-ready project and trying to get in the front of the bus on that, and we want to let her know what the commitment that we made and let them know that we're still knocking on the door. So those are a few topics for council, and if council likes all those topics or some of those topics, we can do that, and we can arrange some meetings for mayor and council at the minister meeting.
Discussion. Councillor Smith.
Absolutely. I think the deer,
All of them?
All of them. Let's go for all of them.
Well,
They're all important.
Well, I certainly would take this one with Christy in terms of mental health, the long-term impact on our community. I think we need to divvy up the responsibilities for who's going to lead the information. Yeah, other comment?
I think anytime we have the opportunity to sit in front of the ministers and make our case for whatever issues affect Grand Forks is an opportunity we shouldn't miss.
We have been told at times it's a waste of time because they have 50 other people, but I kind of think that, they get to know your face, they recognize your community. So I kind of agree that if you only get, how much you get, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
if you're lucky.
I just wanted to mention that, you know, with the progress that we've made in the Deer Committee, I think that's going to be a pretty substantive presentation to Minister Thompson, especially since he's going to realize that they're putting 50 cents for every dollar into this $10,000
Right.
monitoring program. And since it is a very, very progressive act on behalf of this municipality to go ahead with that, we're gonna factor heavily into his future decisions with respect to urban wildlife.
Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, so, you know, I put 5 options up there for council, and it would be nice if we got all the meetings, but the likelihood of us getting all the meetings. We haven't met with the Premier, you know, so we can take that opportunity, but I think it would be up to council to rank the sense of importance for that, and maybe an option for us to move forward. So if council wanted to, I put on there the 5 options that were there were the economic stimulus with the Northern Gateway, the mental health issue, and those would be 2 meetings with the Premier. The Minister Thompson meetings with the community forest and the deer issue, and then the Minister of Community Sport and Rural Development with Honorable Coralie Oakes in respect to the asset management plan update. So that's five options. So if council could kind of pick now, and in your strategic plan, asset management is one of those issues. The other plans that you've committed to as well is the 2010 report that you did with Minister Bennett on the Community First Agreement. Was it Community First or?
Yeah, so it's Community First Agreement.
Right, so that would be revisiting that with the mental health issues and all those community initiatives. So, and deer issues was another topic on your strategic priorities. So those were.
Right, and the vital signs would play right into that because we'll have a brand new report.
Oh, absolutely, you bet. Yeah, that's coming up in September.
Okay, what would be, how can we expedite the prioritizing here?
Can I make a recommendation?
Yes, you can.
Based on the fact that you have the priorities in your strategic plan, asset management is the number one of your 6 priorities. The deer issue is one of the 6 priorities. The community forest is a potential for revenue for dealing with asset management, so that could be within the 3. The mental health issue would be potentially 3 or 4. And the economic stimulus being the last option, basically, because we know that money is coming to the province. We know this from the Northern Gateway, but maybe we could take that opportunity if we got in front of Christie to ask her about that. And so if we could somehow squeeze a meeting in regarding mental health. So I would suggest that Ministry of Community Sport and Rural Development, Minister Thompson, because there's 2 issues there, and Minister or Premier Clark on the mental health. Shoot, those are our 3 top priorities, and we'll throw the other subsections in there, and if we get in front of them, we can throw those questions at them.
That's agreed?
Yep, yeah, so.
It's a nod? Okay.
We'll prepare the papers for those and get them submitted to the province.
All right, good, great. All right, then that concludes my report. A motion to accept the regional district reports. Councillor Smith, Councillor Wirischagin, and I missed out asking you any questions that you might want about the regional district issues. Councillor Kendel.
Just, you were mentioning that another avenue for interior health to go down versus the one that you're, I guess, somewhat opposed to. Do you have something that you could propose in lieu of what they're proposing? Like, is there an alternative method? Like, sometimes just saying, I don't like that one is one way to approach it, but if we can offer another solution or something that may work better.
Well, I just, what I'm arguing is that they've got the cart before the horse, that basically they should do the $105 million or $1.5 million feasibility planning study, strategic planning study, and put that on the books and then take it to the people to work with, to shape before the final product comes out. But to let a group of amateurs, and I say amateurs kindly, but there's like 45 or 50 people in that room, to expect them to deal with the high complexity of the issue in terms of medical services, I think is a mistake, assuming that we can come out as a group with something constructive at all in that process. So that's my problem, is that we're just moving backwards here, that we need to use our professional people first. It's a little convoluted answer. Other regional district issues? You got time? No. Okay. There will be meetings coming up. There's been very few meetings over the summer. There'll be meetings coming up where you can sit in on those regional meetings and get a feel for them. That is my report, and we already accepted it, so we're moving on.
Do we vote on it?
Yeah, we did vote on it, yeah. And I forgot to ask you questions, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Did I vote? Brain is still working. Okay. The next item is recommendations from staff. This is the 68th service, the 68th Avenue Paving, and we were being asked to amend the financial plan to fund that project for $489,000, funded by capital reserves, gas tax, and borrowing. And I will ask Mr. Allen to put this one on the table for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Manager of Development and Engineering has put together the RFP, and the RFP is closed in the process for the paving of 68th Street. Today we talked a little bit about the risk level that the city would be taking in encountering the paving proposal. You can see here, Mr. Mayor, that we have the $343,429 for the actual paving and the work that we anticipated. But in respect to the risk that we're putting in, we're actually asking council to include this $145,570.99 as a contingency in the event that we run into any sort of repairs that we would have to do in there. If we weren't going to run into that work, we would be putting that money back into the reserve. But the idea behind this would be to establish the paving and look at this as a pilot project for the city to establishing the risk levels that we have. So what we've got before you, Mr. Mayor, is the actual resolution for the taking of the reserve and the borrowing to facilitate the paving of the 68th Street, which would commence. Basically, we're going to do the, if council approves this tonight, we would then do the ribbon cutting for it later on this week. And then we would, the project would get awarded this week and construction would start within the next couple of weeks. We would notify all the residents in the neighborhood of what we were doing and then the planning around the project. And then essentially we would be working with the contractor to set up a timeline. So it's before council tonight to consider this as part of the process. We actually have the resolution here to amend the financial plan and where the funding will come from. So that's the difference that you see tonight.
Okay, and so which resolution do you want?
If council wants to make this as a resolution, and by resolution and proceed with the 68th Street paving project to further amend the 2014 financial plan in the amount of $489,000 to be funded by capital reserves, gas tax monies, and borrowing bylaw 1923 at the July 21st, 2014 regular meeting of council.
Okay. All right. Councillor O'Doherty makes that motion, seconded by Councillor Smith. Discussion? Councillor Wirischagin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there a breakdown of the funding model for this? It states that it will be from capital reserves, gas tax monies, as well as possibly from the borrowing bylaw 1923. Is there a breakdown as to what from which places?
And Mr. Mayor, what we would like to do is during this process, because we've got the water metering money, we were under budget in that respect, and we have some money coming in from gas tax this year. What we'd like to do towards the end of the year, by the end of November, we're required to amend the financial plan in its entirety. So at that point, we would bring forward all those amendments, and council could juggle that money as they saw fit. So we would have a better understanding of where we are with the incoming gas tax money this year, along with the amount that we're anticipating with the water metering project to have left over, so we could bring that forward to council to discuss. And then potentially talk about borrowing a little bit from the borrowing bylaw that was approved by referendum from the community 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is an action item on your behalf on that project. So again, we would have that full breakdown for you, and council could then adjust the monies as they saw fit at that meeting.
And once we know the gas tax money being used, if we could let Area D know that we were using gas tax money, we're hoping we can train them to reciprocate. Okay, council, that's on the floor. Further discussion?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
I thought it was really good today. We talked about the risk factors that we take on by moving this direction, but they are measured and calculated, and I think the time is right. So this is our decision. It doesn't have to go for a second and third reading. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the next item of business is the Community Trail Society Stewardship Agreement. And what we're being asked is to direct staff to proceed with a stewardship agreement, so this would give them the green light to go ahead with that in more detail. Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, one of the things I'd just like to clarify with the stewardship agreement and the Trails Master Plan is the Trail Society has a long-term wish list. Council is not committing to a long-term wish list. You're simply working with the Trail Society on maintenance programs, or for them to simply be able to go out and work on the trails, and it's a partnership approach. You're not handcuffing yourself to anything that would require you to commit to $1 million in a trestle or paving out to Christina Lake. You're simply entering into a, we agree to get along agreement, and simply to say that you promote their activities that they're doing.
So there's no financial...
There's a small financial piece in this for around $1,200 or $1,300 a year. I can't remember the final numbers, but essentially that was to work with their insurance pieces. But that would allow us to have the ability, so if they did climb up Observation Mountain and roll the rock onto somebody's house, that we would cover them in that respect. We don't anticipate that happening, but that's what we're looking at.
Right, so just an increase in some costs. Further? Councillor Wirischagin?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there are we aware of whether or not the Trail Society or this group has a similar contract with Area D?
Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of that, but what we're trying to do is get them to promote that so we can make that linkage in with Area D on these, on the extension of the trails and that connectivity of the trails, so we can make that continue to happen with when they're doing maintenance on their trails.
The reason I asked
I believe it's coming forward, but no, you're right, we have not agreed at Area D.
Yeah, the reason I mention it is just it's very apparent that if you use a trail system, especially up by the Nursery Bridge, that the second you cross over to Area D, there's a real disconnect in the quality of upkeep. It's they have a washroom there and a picnic table, and it's overgrown with weeds. You go over the bridge, and we've kept our side so pristine and mowed, and it's just it'd be nice to get a similar system in place of some sort.
It's an interesting point, Mr. Mayor, because the regional district doesn't provide much in that service, whereas we can provide the mowing service. But what happens is the Trail Society can get out and do the moving, they can put in the log benches, they can do just a general moving of rocks and material and stuff. But at the end of the day, Councillor Wirischagin is correct that there is a big gap in the service level that's provided beyond the borders. So it's something that we would hopefully see develop over the next several years. And I think this is the first step in seeing that develop, significant partnership.
And leading by example, as usual, is our style. Yeah, it's a good point.
Essentially that recommendation before council. So
Okay, it's on. The motion is not on the floor. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Wirischagin. Further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. And the next item of business is what we discussed this morning in a revised Community Works Fund agreement, which is our gas tax, that will open up other options for us in how we plan and use that money in our community. So a motion that Council authorized City to enter into this Community Works Fund. Councillor Kendel, Councillor Smith seconds, and discussion.
Well, I appreciate that they've sort of itemized some of these things that this funding is going to be able to go to and expanding it. The brownfield thing, that's kind of a passionate thing for me, and I look forward to having the opportunity to work towards that end.
Yeah, it opens up some really interesting possibilities, but that 200,000 will disappear fast if we don't plan to get the best impact from it for the most important thing. So,
well, it's a good thing too, because the GMF, the Green Municipal Fund, is another thing that you could tap into to kind of further your dollar along.
Yes, good idea. Okay, ready for the question? Did we have a mover in it? Yes, we did.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. The issue that we also dealt with this morning, the canopy encroachment council approves the request to close 3-meter wide portion of Riverside Drive by in front of 7330 Riverside Drive. Mr. Allen, could you give us a thumbnail on this?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. Today at Committee of the Whole, we talked a little bit about the piece of sidewalk that is in front of the address in question. And as part of the strata requirements, they are required to have zero encroachment. The disposal of the sidewalk asset will allow this development to continue on to move into their strata development. And I believe that was the gist of it today. There's a small chunk of sidewalk here where we have the overhang, and what the developer is asking is that he could buy this piece of sidewalk. It's to the city's advantage for us to not own the sidewalk in this respect, because we talked about asset management today, and we won't have to replace this asset. The owner will take on the liability and also the asset there. We are working in a right-of-way agreement in discussion with the owner about continuing the ability for pedestrians to use it, which would always be in the place, because as the landowner would have the businesses on the frontage there, people would be accessing it that way anyway. The city would just be absolved from the requirement to actually maintain and remove snow and those types of things and replace it. So it's part of our being open for business strategy, and this is to help move this process along. It's a small amount of revenue coming into the city as this, but in the long term, it'll be a significant savings to the city for replacement and maintenance.
Councillor O'Doherty makes the move and Councillor Smith seconds it. Further discussion? All those in favor? It's interesting that that building will be stratified as an option in terms of not renting it, but stratifying.
Yeah, it's he's done a
There
good
are
job.
4
at
units in
creating
there?
a building.
6 units.
From what it was, it's
I
incredible.
can't remember, but it's nice. Okay. The Royal Canadian Legion. This is a development variance permit for a section, not really a deck, but we treat it like that, with a roof over it. So a patio area outside the Legion. Councillor O'Doherty makes the motion. Councillor Krog, seconded. Discussion. This is being recommended by staff.
Yep.
And they have done the obligatory rounds of the neighbors without any complaints. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, information items. This is received for information. The question was posed by Councillor Smith. The cost of a referendum on deer or any other item that would happen separate from a regular election. And so that is the cost there. Any comments or received for information?
We're just receiving that?
Yeah. Councillor Krog.
Did we ever go live?
No.
Okay, because I was going
You
to
be
say
careful
for
what you
the,
say.
no, for the audience that's not here, that
Yeah.
the total would be ballpark of $8,500.
Yes, that's what I read there.
You are being recorded, people will be able to see.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's
So that people
substantial.
know.
That takes most of the costs into consideration. Councillor Kendel?
I was just reading through the information here, and there is an option, and option number 3 here says that the question could be placed on the ballot at election time, which doesn't really necessitate it being a referendum question, but it could just be
An opinion.
a question on the ballot for people to, I guess we could formulate a question and have it on the ballot, and they could check yes or no or something like that.
So it's not a referendum, it's a plebiscite, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the specific question was to get it off
Yeah.
the ballot there.
Yeah.
So if there's no action on this item, we'll receive it for information. Councillor O'Doherty moves to receive it. Anybody second? Councillor Wirischagin. Any further comment on this? Good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, receiving. All those in favor?
We don't have it in our budget.
Good Sam Club. The council approves the request, and we've already got a letter going off to them, to Mr. Pernard. So this would basically maybe work through him as well, as he's the rep here. I would think that the maybe this letter could also incorporate a, yes, we'd be pleased to host you. Is there a problem with that date? First of all, let me ask, is there any conflicts or anything?
We seem to work it out okay this year. The date was going to be the same?
You said that the same.
We just have to work it out with minor baseball to let them know that we're going to be using the field at that time. The other thing we'd like to do is get incorporated into the resolution that council would offer the same discount at the city campground for the Good Sam's people the week building up to that.
So do you think we can pull this together in one letter that we thank him for his wonderful work and
Yes.
lay out some of the expectations for the future?
And if we get that resolution tonight, then we'll incorporate it into the financial plan for that year. We'll put council through that.
Yeah, I think it was worthwhile for the city for a number of reasons, including the fact that these are a bunch of 80-year-olds who hasn't rolled over in their canes yet. They're still out there living their life and spending their kids' money.
Well, Paul emailed me a letter kind of outlining what the financial impact on our community was in terms of spending.
Yeah.
And you know, there was a couple of people who said, well, they didn't spend any money here, but I mean, they were lined up at the gas bar, they were lined up in extra foods, they were lined up around
They weren't
town.
that obvious, so people didn't know who they were.
But you know, they spent a lot of money here, and you know, I know your band and my band, we both got paid for our you know, for our services, and there was a $600 donation that was given out, and yeah, they were terrific people.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity. Councillor Kendel and myself, again, we walked around and talked to these folks, and they were from all over, and they were just so pleased as punch to have such a welcoming community as ours. So.
Yeah, that was something that stuck in their mind. So.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
I don't think that we can underestimate what the benefits of these things are out in the world once those people leave here either. That carries on, you know, for the rest of the year.
The multiplier effect.
The multiplier effect, exactly. I think it's, those people utilize our campgrounds, their friends, you know, for the rest of the year. And just the fact that Grand Forks is on the map, and as Paul said this morning, two couples did have a look at real estate here, and again, if we get one of those single benefits, it's hugely worthwhile to the community. So.
Yes, we are a come-to community.
Yeah.
Okay. And we should approve the request in a motion, just to make it formal. Councillor Smith, Councillor Kendel. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Okay.
That was Councillor Smith and Councillor Kendel. Okay, next item of business under information items is the request by the Jehovah's Witness for to set up a cart in high traffic areas in downtown Grand Forks. I'm not sure if we need to dispose of this evening or just open it up for discussion and receipt. Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to just let council know that if they decide to do this, they'll probably expect a letter from every religious group wanting to set up something in a specific high traffic area within the community. And I want to caution you on that, because you could, once you open that door for religion, then you're going to have to look at it from every other belief. There are churches and places of worship for this type of information, and if people want it, they can go get it. They solicit their information. But I just strongly caution council on allowing this within different aspects of high traffic areas, because you're going to have the business community wanting this as well for every different thing. So you're going to open up a great big can of questions and requests.
Councillor Smith.
Well, I have to concur with that analysis. I think it's, you know, better left for the people to go to the places of worship that they are attracted to and get their information there.
Councillor Wirischagin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too agree with what Mr. Allen and Councillor Smith have said, and as well as that there's nothing precluding them from approaching businesses themselves and asking to set up either in their parking lots.
Is that what they've done in this experience they've had already? We're in front of someone's business.
apparently they've done something in the city of Nanaimo, but I'm not sure if that's on private land or not, but it's on city land.
No, I thought they said they'd done it in Grand Forks.
Yeah, Your Worship, I
Yes,
did
by
see
that.
something in front of the Grand Forks Flooring on 72nd.
Right.
2 or 3 days ago, there was a table set up there.
So if they're not blocking traffic and they're doing it in front of an existing business, is that a problem for us?
We'd have to look at this from a bylaw perspective. The council wants to not have a bylaw in that respect, we can simply carry on. But if we do get into a situation where we have multiplying people doing this, then we're gonna have to start to look at it, because it is going to create problems for business people downtown. It's gonna create problems that are going to arise potentially. I'm not sure about this. This is something that they just chose to do that one day. If it's a one-off, it's not unlike anybody soliciting information from members of the public on other things. So you do see this often where they are walking around requesting whether it's information to sign for this or that. So it is a commonplace, but to actually have a permanent structure would not be recommended.
Further, Councillor Krog.
Yeah, definitely torn on it, and the fact that, you know, it's a small cart. If you look at Nanaimo, what their setup compared to that cart lane standing beside, I can see it maybe being a problem with sidewalks and sidewalk traffic. But to stand in front of a business, they're still facing the city sidewalk. But if it was on private land, so a parking lot, if the business owner was fine with it, then, you know, there's a lot of privately owned property within the city that
Well,
they could.
This is the first dialogue we've had about it. I wonder if tonight we just receive it and further discussion. I'd like to see what some of the people around me think about the idea and what response they have for it. So it doesn't give us much chance to run it up the flagpole here if we make a decision on it tonight. Let's just do what is recommended here, which is just that we receive for information. Councillor Wirischagin, Councillor Kendel. All those in favor? Okay. We have a letter from Jean Koch regarding information from Cranbrook, received for information. Councillor O'Doherty, seconded by Councillor Kendel. Any comments? All those in favor? And a summary of info meeting requests. This is what we basically have already dealt with here this evening in setting up some priorities as recommended from our strategic planning. So receive for information. Councillor Kendel, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. And this is Coralie Oaks, UBCM meetings, received for information. She's just giving us some options. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Kendel, all those in favor. Carried. Okay. Rona Martin, gas tax program, received for information. This is about what we talked about earlier. Councillor Kendel, Councillor O'Doherty, all those in favor. And this is the summary information from Mr. Gustafson that I was referring to in my report this evening, and received for information. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Smith, all those in favor. And to the Grand Forks Mural Committee, this is where we have some late information that has come in with a recommendation in terms of an amount for the project to get underway. And if I might reference that here. Resolve that council approves the theme of On the River. That was what was showed to us today.
The river runs through it.
The river runs through it. For the Grand Forks Mural Project, and further amend the 2014 financial plan in the amount of, to be funded from surplus to support the Mural Committee's mural project. And we do have a recommendation here that we heard from Mr. Benson of $5,000 per side. And that, what my understanding was that they were planning to do 2 faces on each of the buildings, which would make 4 faces.
That's right.
So I open it to discussion.
I'll make that motion.
And the seconder, Councillor Smith. You are the committee. Councillor Kendel.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I think this budgetary amount just showed up here within the last hour, and personally, I'd like to just table making any decision on it until we find out where that number came from. It just seems to have come out of thin air, and I'm not...
For point of order, Mr. Mayor, if he's calling for tabling motion, we can discuss it.
Well, I don't think he's calling it yet. I think he's
You
just
just did.
referencing it as an option. Is that not correct, Councillor?
Well, I guess if it's open for discussion, I'm not willing to support the funding at this time. I'm not sure where the number came from, and I'd like to have some more information about it.
Councillor Wirischagin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From my understanding, is this by no means is an exorbitant amount of money for the type of work that would be done here. What I see from this email that I was just given, what does it say here? It works out to roughly $35 to $50 a square foot, with the current proposal of 4 walls and almost 50% coverage of the total buildings. It will work out to approximately $5,000 a wall, and that's a rough estimate. They're sure they can cut a few corners and hopefully save some money. But that would be the high end.
So can I ask you, is your understanding is that that would be primarily paint? The cost of what they're putting on the surface and whatever their prep and things are?
Yes.
This is not wages in any way to any person?
No, not that I understand, no.
No?
I think that's what I'm saying is we're just kind of guessing as to what this all is, and there was discussion when they first approached that they weren't looking for any financial support or minimal, and there may have been an option for donated paint and all kinds of other things, and then again this number just popped up this evening. So
yeah, and I think that, you know, a bunch of guys with donated paint thing kind of got moved along to a new level here. Councillor Wirischagin.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you again. For them to proceed, whether or not they get donated paint or not, there needs to be a number on the books. Whether or not they reach that or not, they can't proceed without something there. They can't go looking for paint until we budget an amount first.
well, again, I won't be supporting it simply because I don't have enough information, and I'm not willing to invest $20,000 without some more information. So.
Okay, and Councillor Smith.
You know, it was unfortunate I wasn't able to attend the last meeting, but I think I have to sit with Councillor Kendel on this, that we should have a better financial picture of what's involved. And I know other projects in other communities have come in way higher, but I think that they've always developed a sort of a financial picture so that council is comfortable with the money that they're spending and where it's going to. So.
Well, I don't see a lack of support for the project
No,
here, and
that's
I'm
not
wondering
right.
whether or not a tabling action here would not be the solution to
And
just
I
let
would
them know,
move to
like,
table
we
it.
just gotta get some more info
Yeah.
here.
I've moved to table till August.
Next meeting or August meeting?
Yeah.
Who's to table? Do we need a seconder, Michael?
I don't believe so.
How about you?
No.
So the motion to table would be given to them, but clearly we are planning that this is very close. I think it would pass if we wanted to press it through. I shouldn't be speaking to a tabling motion, should I?
No, but I kind of want you to. That's the problem. I personally don't see it going through then this year. If we wait till August, then by the time they get going, it's gonna be September. By the time everything's in place, it'll be October, and it's gonna be rainy, and we're gonna miss an opportunity for this year for it to be done.
Councillor Kendel and Councillor Krog.
Well, and again, I'm just going back. The representative was here this morning. If there was an urgency to this thing, then I think that financial number could have been presented this morning at the Committee of the Whole, when we had the opportunity to discuss it and had that discussion without it being emailed to us just before the council meeting, and then having us deal with it.
But again, they're volunteers, and we're treating them like they're a business, and for them to come here and offer up their service for nothing, and for us to then question and criticize the way they're doing their volunteer work.
Councillor O'Doherty.
Thank you, to Councillor Wirischagin. When did they plan to start?
ASAP.
Okay.
Okay, Councillor, we haven't heard from
This
Councillor
is,
Krog.
this is probably driving members of the audience crazy because we're not
You
following
saved us
for so out of order.
procedures. We're so out of order.
Well, actually, no, but
But-
nobody tabled it because we never had a seconder on the motion.
Oh, okay. Then, again, torn on this one. Would have liked to have seen just a budget breakdown. And is there any way we can compromise on this that pending a budget breakdown,
Can I
can we,
phone my
proceed
go-to
somehow?
person?
yeah.
Help us out here, Doug. Is there a way around this corner?
Mr. Mayor, based on the level of detail, there would be mural prices will come in from $35 to $100 or $200 per square foot, depending on the level of detail that you get into a wall. I mean, it doesn't, there is not going to be a specific number. I think the one thing the council could do is, if council wanted to, they could approve the first piece until such time, or approve one or two walls and then have a test on it. It is we could fund it from your legacy fund, the side fund, because they are leaving it for the community to enjoy. There is an opportunity there. Now, whether or not it's a good value for the dollar, I think it really comes back down to the detail. I agree with the point of having a strong financial analysis done. This group came forward about 6 weeks ago. There was a discussion that was started between us and the chamber, or the Community Futures, on potentially a banner project, and we have some of the banners here tonight, and there's some other banners. But what evolved from this was a mural development, and this group was simply a group of artists that came out of the community. I mean, there is some incredible artists in the community, and this is where they came from. They were not looking for to generate revenue from this. They were simply looking at an opportunity to start a process in our community from an economic development piece that would allow us to allow business owners to look at their walls a little bit differently. So from our perspective, there's all kinds of avenues council can look at financially. They can approve, if council so wish, they could approve the first two walls tonight and then move it forward. You could choose to ask for more detail to be presented prior to the August 18th meeting. Council could ask for that, and we would have to work with them on those details to get a breakdown of those costs.
In your experience, is there spray equipment and various other things? I know that we've asked them to make it vandal-proof, so I mean, right away there, it's got to have a certain finish on it that's going to give it the ability to withstand the tagger.
The anti-graffiti material would have to go on after that, but what the statistics show that people are less inclined to graffiti over artwork because basically they're compromising what they do.
Right.
The anti-graffiti would go on there. The amount of detail, now the artists, and I'm not an artist by any means, but they talked about doing it in, I guess, in squares. Diane would know a little bit more. She was part of the process, but there's all kinds of different methods for them to do this stuff, and I think from our perspective, financially speaking, the price from the way that I saw it was not out of line. The commitment to invest $20,000 off the top may be a little bit harder for council to decide on, but they can choose to break it down into a couple pieces just to get a sense of what they're doing.
Councillor Krog.
Can we budget, like approve the budget for it, and then more information before the funding is released? Something like that.
I guess the purpose of moving it tonight would be so we don't hold them up, right? Because August the 18th is a whole month away. Councillor?
At the meeting that we had there this past Thursday, Wednesday, the 14th, whatever it was, they asked me how to proceed with this, and I suggested that I would bring forward a motion that to approve the theme in principle pending a budget approval by council. So in other words, what I was saying to them is we approve the theme, which is the river runs through it,
Yeah.
pending possibly what you're looking for, which is a greater detailed budget. But that'll put them in motion to start drawing proper mock-ups and things like that. But at least it could buy time. The only problem is with that is if we say yes to that, don't like the budget, they do all that work, come August 18th, and it could be shut down. But that is another option that we could look at, is to approve it.
Okay, and we have nothing on the floor right now, right?
There's no motion on the floor.
No, Councillor Smith.
I just like, when we have the next time we have an opportunity to meet with them, I'd like to explore some of these other options. Oliver, they had paint donated by one of the big paint companies. And
Right.
I know that there are these projects and funds and resources available that we could,
So
look at.
can I ask, is it look like maybe there's a figure that we could put in here that would get the ball rolling for them, that wouldn't overcommit us as a group? Councillor Kendel.
Thank you, Worship. And again, I think it's a wonderful project and I support the project. The dollar number, again, we don't know what that, there isn't even an indication, any indication what that's for. If the city is supporting the project and we're buying paint, that seems like an extraordinary amount of paint. If we're supplying scaffolding, spraying equipment, paint, blah, 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 then I would like to know what that is. Because again, nothing has been brought forward that I'm aware of detailing that they were looking for any significant funding, nothing in this amount anyway. I think we had a brief discussion when they brought the project forward that council would be willing to work with them as far as supplying materials or paint or whatever for the project. And again, if this is the amount for that, it seems like an extraordinary amount of money for paint.
Okay, and I'm looking for the compromise here that would keep this process moving so that we're not getting stalled out. And I'm not hearing any kind of wording here that would tell this group that we're good with them. We're just not clear on exactly what the dollars would be.
Now, if council wished, if there's a couple options for you, could pass a resolution tonight to support the theme and refer it back to the committee for a budget breakdown, and have that brought back, and council could hold a special council meeting to make that budget amendment, if council wished. So then they could do it in an expedited timeline, or council could ask for a budget breakdown, or approve the theme, ask for a budget breakdown, and approve it on the 18th of August. So you could actually theoretically hold a council meeting within the next 10 days. Yeah.
Right. But if they've done the budget breakdown and we've got a clear idea of what it is, I think that tells them that this is a go-ahead on the 18th. Councillor Smith.
I would move the first option, is if we had a special meeting upon receiving a budget from them to,
If necessary.
possibly, potentially approve funds. for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. They may say the 18th is fine. At this point, we could give them that freedom, but if they want us to meet early, you're saying let's commit to a quick meeting to approve this.
Yeah.
But to also include in there that we approve the theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
just as the option
We
there.
captured
We
this.
put Brad Pitt.
So we'll approve the theme and
Yes.
indicate to them
And
that,
Angel Lee and our subject updates. Sorry.
yeah, just trying to catch it here. So we approve the theme, but what we're saying about is
That
that
we
we
need a budget
are willing to
to have a
meet
special
early
meeting,
if
yeah.
need be. If not, it would be on the agenda for the 18th of August.
Yes.
That's the motion.
Yeah.
Councillor Smith, Councillor Kendel,
Councillor Krog.
Krog. I saw a hand, what a jury roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor? All right, that was good. I'm glad we hammered that out. Okay. Bylaws. So these are the water regulations and rates, the repeal bylaw. We're giving first, second, and third reading to. We can do all three of those in one swoop, in one sitting here, but we'll do separate motions on the individual ones. And so the water regulations and rates repeal bylaw, first reading. Motion for first reading, Councillor Smith, Councillor O'Doherty, all those in favor. And second reading, Councillor Kendel, Councillor O'Doherty, all those in favor. And third reading, Councillor Wirischagin, Councillor O'Doherty, all those in favor. All right, that's 3 readings on the repeal. And we move on to the new water rates. And
Regulation bylaw.
I'm sorry, what?
It's the water regulation bylaw.
That's the one I'm referring to.
Okay.
It's been a long day.
We haven't done any readings yet.
No, okay, oh, okay, for sure. All right. Water regulations bylaw. Council approves the bylaw and gives first, second, and third reading, same process. Okay, and that is under this bylaw.
Maybe at the end of the readings. if you
All
do
right,
that.
okay. All right, so this is first reading. Councillor Smith, Councillor Kendel, all those in favor?
Oh,
Second reading,
Discussion. Oh, it's okay, I can discuss it during the second reading, that's fine.
second reading. Councillor Wirischagin, seconded by Councillor Krog. Question?
Yeah, I do have one. The bylaw itself is sorry, it's called the, what's the name of it here? What kind of look?
The
Water Regulations Bylaw number 1973, but it also has the word rates, and then appendix or Schedule A, service charges. Let's move this all the way around here. 7, it also includes section 7, which is user rates effective July 1st, 2014, and has the per cubic meter rate on there. But if we're not setting the rates or those,
I would think those are our commercial rates for the existing commercial
the
meters.
apartment commercial is it?
Yeah, that's commercial.
Okay, and it doesn't include any.
No, and
It doesn't
actually,
include any
again,
residential. Okay.
Yeah.
we are looking for people to sit on the water rates committee, just to remind people if they're interested. But no, so that is, second reading is on the table. All those in favor? And third reading, Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Smith, all those in favor? That is 3 readings. And the next item is the municipal ticketing information bylaw number 1957. First, second, and third reading. Can I have first reading, Councillor Smith, Councillor O'Doherty, or, yes, that's who it is. I'm telling you, I'm getting punchy. All those in favor? Second reading, Councillor Kendel, Councillor O'Doherty. All those in favor? And third reading, Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Smith. All those in favor, you guys are gonna get them. Okay, that's 3 readings. Thank you very much, Council. We have no late items, except the ones on our list. Almost through. So this is a request from the Grand Forks Fall Fair Society for the special occasions license to host the beer garden for the 104th annual Grand Forks Fall Fair, August the 22nd to 24th. Standard wording in terms of approves the issuing, subject to the obtaining of the proper insurance liabilities to hold it and serving it right, all of those kinds of ICBC rules. ICBC. And so making the motion, Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Kendel. Any discussion? Did they have a beer garden last year?
Yeah.
They did.
No,
No.
year before, no.
Year
last
before.
year,
No. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Second late item is a request that we've had correspondence on from Councillor Wires. Basically, putting a motion to send a congratulation letter to Jacqueline Salter, being one of the winners of the Douglas H. Gunter History Awards. She's been approved to receive a $1,000 prize for her poem, What It Was For, on the theme of Canada's First World War. Councillor O'Doherty, Councillor Kendel, or Councillor Krog. Again, does anyone know this lady, Councillor Krog?
Yeah, she's a member of the program, the Head Start program.
Yeah, it's the one that-
You can go and actually see the submission she made on their on the First World War website. It was actually, I liked it. It was, you know, honoring but questioning at the same time. Right, so.
Okay, so
It was
the
actually
motion
pretty
we're
good.
looking
She's
for
got
here is
talent.
to present a letter of congratulations at the August the 18th regular meeting. Maybe it's not a long poem, then we could maybe read the poem as well.
So we'll do
Councillor Kendel,
Oh, it's already.
it's already did. All right, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. And we dealt with the mural committee as it rolled around, so I think that's all of it.
We have to deal with Bill Pepin. We brought that labor this morning.
Yeah, Mr. Pepin's letter has to do with a more complex issue than we were prepared to deal with without having some time to talk about it. And we haven't had a minute even to meet with our staff. So we're not ducking the bullet here, Mr. Pepin. We really need some time. It has big implications on how we deal with it.
We need time.
Question on that?
We're going to be opening question period right soon here, so you will have an opportunity to come forward. And so that basically deals with all of our agenda items, late items, and we're open to questions from the public in meeting. Mr. Pepin, come on forward, and you are open to comment.
At this time?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Just,
It's kind of a repeat of what you put forward today, but I think it's this is our regular formal meeting, and gets it on the agenda to be looked at.
oh, do you want me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay, this is a presentation of our owner Strata KAS 2204, Riverside Garden, 7129 Riverside Drive, to Grand Forks City Council. Attention, Mayor and all City Council members. Upon review of our bi-monthly utilities invoice regarding the basic fee residential electricity, we, owners of Strata KAS 2204, are opposed to the basic fee residential electricity charge. We feel the basic fee should be a part of the actual consumption used and not as an additional charge, which actually turns out to be a double charge of the basic amount of the $32.92 for the electricity used. We strongly request that the City Council cancel the basic fee bylaw as an extra charge to the actual consumption and have it as a minimal charge for the bi-monthly consumption use if anybody uses less electricity than that amount. And I presented
Yeah, that's very
signed
clear,
by
and,
the owners to that effect.
Yeah.
And the question is, what is the fee charge for?
Well, I think you're moving forward in a way that will get us to take a look at this, and we will be responding more informally. Mr. Allen.
Mr. Mayor, and just so I can kind of enlighten the situation a little bit, what we have is, when you have a rate structure, you have to have a minimum rate that you charge to kind of keep the keep the business running.
Yeah.
And then the consumption fee is what you draw on from there. Typical rate structures can be no flat fee with just simply consumption fees. But now the utility itself runs the risk of going broke because of the people basically not using the power. If we got to that point, we'd have to look at this from a business analysis, but the business case was done when the utility was set up and that rate structure was structured. And I believe there's a couple other fees in there as well with the electrical fee. Is there an asset replacement fee, a minimum amount, a basic fee, and then the consumption fee? I know our water utility has that. There's a way they were structured, but we could get all the detail for the customer and provide a response and meet with them to provide them a breakdown of what we've got. In the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to pull that together.
I think council would like to know more about how that works too. Do you remember Gene Roberts brought this up time and time again for a number of years, and I think it's time that we refreshed our memory on how we operate that. So that would be a healthy process, and thank you very much, Bill.
Yeah, well, we feel that we're paying a substantial amount for the consumption use to begin with, and we felt that this basic fee is an extra charge that shouldn't be there.
That's very clear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, further comments or questions this evening?
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I doubt very much whether or not you busy folks had a chance to read your emails this afternoon, but this morning Mr. Allen suggested that people had a month to make input into the water meter bylaws, the draft water meter bylaws. I had an opportunity to go home and to do some research and to look into those water meter bylaws. And concerning what you have passed tonight through the third reading, and what we're, I guess, anticipating is going to be coming to fruition on August 18th, which would be the next council meeting, in my opinion, these water meter bylaws seem to be extremely restrictive. If the people who attended the Council of the Whole meeting on the last time that you presented these were really the only ones, other than people who were able to go into City Hall to pick up the package, really the only ones who could give you some sort of information pertaining to what they felt might be good input to those bylaws, then I just feel that you've restricted yourself from finding out what the people of Grand Forks really want. In perusing the bylaws myself, I'm very concerned and disappointed at the highly punitive levels that are delineated in the bylaws. For example, as I mentioned this morning, in certain circumstances, fines of $1,000 to $10,000 a day are specified for people who are found to be in violation of the bylaws. And there are many other excessively draconian measures described for people who offend. I've got a list of them here. Really, this is, for a small community and for people who are supposed to be, enjoying community together, this is just like Big Brother coming down with a hammer and squashing an ant. Now, Mr. Allen stated that these bylaws were imported from other communities. I'm asking, doesn't Grand Forks deserve a customized set of bylaws that fairly and humanely deal with issues concerning a substance that is essential to life? Water is not electricity. Water is not gas. We cannot live. For 3 days, that's all we can live without water. These bylaws talk about turning off people's water if they are in violation. That is absolutely inhumane, and I can't imagine that this council would want to pass those kinds of bylaws and impose them on this small little community. To commodify water and penalize users to this extent is, in my opinion, completely unfair. Let's be reasonable here. We, the residents of Grand Forks, are not criminals, yet we are being treated like such with these proposed bylaws, and I would really, really request that there is some way that you can get some input from some people so that these bylaws can be made to reflect what is out there. A lot of retired people, a lot of pensioners, who to impose $1,000 to $10,000 a day fine on them, shame on you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anything further this evening?
Comment?
Sorry?
Can you comment on that, or you're saying you're against that or for it?
Yes, I'd like to hear some response, please.
Sure, Mr. Mayor, I can provide a response.
All right,
So-
Mr. Allen has volunteered.
So, Mr. Mayor, in respect to the bylaw, some of the things we have to consider that we're dealing with in the water regulation bylaw are the extreme measures. When we get to the person in the audience referred to the extreme measures, we run into situations where people have meth labs, other things in their homes that compromise the water system. That's when we move in with a little bit firmer hand and we're able to adjust those situations. When we're dealing with people with sustaining life or dealing with these types of scenarios, we would bring that forward to council and talk to them in an in-camera meeting about those situations. Mr. Mayor, the city staff is not in a position where we're going to be running out and shutting off people's waters without consulting with the members of council. But when there is dangerous situations that compromise the water system and potentially put it at risk, so all the customers are at risk of human health infractions, then we have to be able to move swiftly and quickly. And when we look at those fines and those implications on the water systems, we have to be able to address those. Mr. Mayor, the one thing that we want to be clear on is the fines that are imposed on that would be last resort issues in the event that we ever had to address the
Then why isn't that?
Excuse me, we're not yelling out here, ma'am. This is a regular meeting of council.
So, Mr. Mayor, when it comes to the bylaw, council at that point has the ability, always, and if we look at this, council has the ability to enforce or choose not to enforce the bylaw. When we bring these things forward, we often bring these things forward just as if we did with the purchase of lands, or we do those things. We always bring this forward to council for discussions. Sometimes we have to talk about things in camera with council that affect members of the public or potentially affect land issues according to Section 90 of the Community Charter. But there is times when we deal with these things and we deal with them in a very, very, I guess, progressive, systematic process. There is no situations where we go out and deal with these things unless it's an emergency where the fire chief is simply called on it, we're in an extreme situation, or we have a building code infraction that is extreme and dire. So, Mr. Mayor, that's the answer to that. I mean, sometimes the language in the bylaw can be interpreted, but if I was to provide that interpretation, council always has the authority to enact or not enact, choose to enact on the bylaw. Council is always in charge at that point.
I understand, and I agree with the bylaw the way it's written. Yes, Donna?
Okay, this is further to this discussion. The one thing I wanted to say, or maybe I want to ask, is are you saying that before someone would get notice of water shut off, that they would be looked at on a case-by-case basis at a council meeting before they received a letter like that?
You know, I have to say from past experience with all of the city services that every case is a case-by-case basis. I mean, we were careful not to set precedents in some situations. We have to be wise enough not to do that. But, you know, I hearken to recent additions to a porch on the trailer park over here where we had a 0 setback from the river. I mean, those kinds of case-by-case things are applied by a humanitarian community and a humanitarian council.
So then I'm understanding that it would be, before a letter is sent to someone, it would be discussed case by case. I would recommend that's put in your bylaws, so that is followed. And I will let you know that at least in one other jurisdiction, they did shut water off. I don't know that they did it case by case. There were people with disabilities there, and they had a court case, and they had to put the water back on. There are nursing mothers. They must drink lots of water, otherwise they don't give proper milk and nourishment to their babies. I would not like to see these people receiving a notice in advance and putting them under stress. And in particular, mothers who are nursing need to have a nice, healthy atmosphere, and I don't want to add stress on people with disabilities. So I would recommend that if that is your intention, that you make it clear in your bylaws that that would be your procedure.
Thank you, Donna.
And I do have another related question. It comes back from last month's meeting. We had inquired about seeing the contract that has been signed. Actually, at the last meeting, Your Worship had said that it would be signed in an open meeting, but we found out that it was signed, and we had asked about seeing the contract after it's signed, and remember there was...
No, I would oppose that at this point and suggest that you come tomorrow to the open house.
But this isn't
Is that the contract you're referring to?
No, we're not asking
The water
to see the
meters?
contractor, we're asking to see what was signed, like the documents, so the people know what you've decided for us and post it on the city site so we can see what the plan is for our city regarding water.
No, I'm lost on. I'm gonna ask that you rephrase that maybe in writing to us again.
So we're
But
just
I'm
asking
not
post
ready
the
to
contract on the website.
continue on with this discussion this evening on this matter.
The contract with Neptune, between the city and Neptune that's been signed. pending
Well, I'm not prepared right now to release that to you or even recognize that you need to see it. We have a meeting tomorrow. Please attend that with Neptune. It's an open house from 3 to 7, and you're free to dialogue with them about what they expect from our community. But I'm not releasing any contract between us and them.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's highly irregular for the contract to be made available in that respect. Now, the other thing that could happen is there could be through the Freedom of Information and Privacy Protection Act, the person in the audience could actually make that request and file that through that process. But we have to protect and respect the company that we've worked with. So we have to deal with the legal issues there. So we just have to respect that process.
Right, and I thought we had dealt with this a number of times
Yeah, we did.
before.
We asked before and it was uncertain, but so.
I'd like to know who we is.
Okay, and
The answer
Donna,
is
that's
no,
enough for
but
this
we
evening,
have to
please.
file for
Donna?
the Information Act. I just want clarity, so we can't
The
see it
clarity
unless we
is-
file, or-
We're going to adjourn the meeting now, and thank you very much for your questions.
I have one more.
Les has a question, just a moment.
Oh,
The point is that the thing, first, the feel-good stuff, before I get into this. Yes, the Good Sam's, that was great. The 126 couples are out there being ambassadors because they love this town, they really liked it, and a lot of that was volunteer-driven stuff. That was really good. The city helped a lot. But there was also another event just a week or two ago, last weekend actually, I think. The float, they've had now for, I can't remember how many years it is, 5 or 6 years now. They had 20-odd people coming from all over BC and some Washington State as well to float and fish here. And they're all gonna go away. They come every year, they have a great time. And that's an event that is successful and doesn't have a lick of any government money or support whatsoever. It's all volunteer stuff. I mean, even the kids from the families who came to float are helping rebuild a mini golf course there at the Victorian. That's a really good thing. When the GFI was on, I went and I broadcast every single game live for free, just because I could do it, and they weren't set up. And volunteerism really helps. Now, as far as the water meters go, and draconian measures, yeah, I know they sound draconian, but I've been at every council meeting almost, with very few exceptions, for 10 years almost, 9 years. And when I see council go after somebody, a property owner, because they aren't cleaning up their property, or they're encroaching, or they want to do something and they're having troubles, it's like, it takes forever. Like, if you were talking about possibility of somebody's water being cut off before they actually got to it, from what I've seen, and they didn't have a bylaw enforcement officer at that time, you could drown by the time you get around to cutting off your water. Where they really are draconian is if you're an organization of volunteers, and you run against each other. Oh, well, okay, sorry. In my past experience as a member of a volunteer-driven organization that runs afoul of city's plans, Mr. Krog here was the mayor at the time. Yes, they got very, very heavy-handed at certain times, but they were an organization dealing with an organization, and it was lawyers versus lawyers. But when these people here have to deal with people who are citizens in the community coming in front of them, pleading their case, they're human beings. That's all I have to say. You know, like, it's, whether or not I agree with it, I'm not saying, but you're not a monster, and I have yet to see any monsters here. Unless, of course, you're a volunteer organization. That's a bit different.
Thank you. Thank you.
To adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for your patience.